Hello.
Hello, Ni, we can hear you.
Okay, good, good.
At least I can hear you.
All right.
I can hear me as well.
We can kickstart now. Apology for starting late, and we want to say good evening to all our wonderful participants. It's exciting to have all of you here. I don't know why I cannot see my face, but maybe the device I'm using. But I'm sure you
we can see your face, Ni.
Yes. I can also see you.
Okay. Okay.
But I still see.
So
I still see the PR roundtable flyer there, and then I see myself in the window. So maybe the producer should check to see. I don't know what is wrong with that, but we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So maybe whilst he's working on it, we can kickstart because we have very limited time. And we want to once again welcome all our participants. This is a conversation we're going to have. So it is not like you listening to us as we talk. As time goes on, we're going to open the floor for us to have engage ourselves in the conversation. So we're going to kickstart. If I was down to the last dollar of my marketing budget, I would spend it on public relations. This is a quote I'm beginning with, and this was by Almighty Bill Gates. He's saying that if he was down to the last dollar of his marketing budget, he will spend it on public relations. So if one of the world's richest persons have told us that he has the confidence in public relations, then we must know that public relations plays a very critical role in our daily enterprises. Public relations, communications, corporate communications, public affairs, corporate affairs, external affairs, call it whatever. One profession
seems
with
to have
so many
lost
names,
you.
depending on understanding and vision. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we lost you for
Yes.
a few seconds.
Okay.
It's
Sorry
better.
about that. This is part of the. Okay. All right. So basically, I was given several names we can imagine public relations being called, but tonight we call it public relations. More than ever, we have witnessed public relations is concerned. More people talking or taking up public relations courses. Every organization seems to be considering bringing PR professionals on board their team, irrespective of the roles they play. Technology, supercomputers seem to have redefined the practice, but the convention or conventional practice still remain resolute. Undeniably, public relations has metamorphosed over the past few years. So today, as the world marks World PR Day, which was actually yesterday, I'm delighted to join in the conversation together with all our colleague practitioners and beneficiaries of public relations across the world. The changing scenes of public relations for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. Taking off from where we started last year, where we had amazing conversation on singing our stories and telling our songs, public relations roundtable, we have gathered here once again to engage ourselves and create that platform for further conversation and understanding of the role of public relations in our national development, as well as our individual and corporate endeavors and enterprises. That it's going to be a very exciting time. That your discussants boast of a minimum of 17 years experience each active PR practice. So once again, let me welcome all of you. And at this juncture, hand over to my colleague, that's Georgina, who will introduce the speakers or the discussants and then walk us through our expectations of tonight. Then she will kickstart the event. Over to you, Gina.
Thank you very much, Nee, for a very good start. I think it will be great for you to check your connection where you are and do some adjustments. So because we kept losing you in and out, although we got maybe about 90% of what you said, it would be great to perhaps readjust where you are. But I just want to do a quick check to be sure that you can all hear me. Rita, Doc, and all our guests, our participants. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, loud and clear.
Great, great.
Yes,
great, that's good. So welcome to our own version of the World Public Relations Day, where we just sit together, the 4 of us sitting, having a chat, and of course, our guests who have joined us. I'm sure many people will also join us along the line, but we have a very good attendance for a start, and we are happy that at least about close to 50 people are here to have this discussion. So as Nee said, we are celebrating World Public Relations Day, which was held worldwide yesterday. And today being the first working day, we've decided to get together. Our convener, Nee Kome, as I'm sure many of you know him, is a playwright, is a storyteller, is an author, and he's the head of communications for WASCAL. Maybe he will talk a bit about what he does on a daily basis when he takes his turn again. And yes, last year, the 2 of us started these discussions, and we had 3 people who joined us. Today, 2 of them are here again. The beautiful and gracious Rita Ejewa Robson, who is also our colleague. Today, he's on the other side of the industry. And so welcome, Rita. I didn't even know you had joined Vodafone until we were going to have this session. So welcome to this very exciting industry. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Rita Roxon is the Foundation and External Communications Manager for Vodafone Ghana. And I'm sure she also, I mean, you get to know her more, but she was with us last year and we had a very interesting conversation. Welcome, Rita. And then thank you. We have our very own Dr. Albert Anani Bosman, who is a communications consultant. He's done a lot of research work. He's a lecturer at UNIMAC. I'm sure you all know UNIMAC, but if you don't know, he will tell you more about it. It's the former GIJ and I think an amalgamation of 3 universities. So I didn't want to take too much time explaining what he does and which university he represents. I'm sure he will talk a lot about it. So let's just start our conversation by looking at, you know, PR of the, should I say yesteryears, if that's a correct way of putting it. I think today we are all going to, you know, bring home some of the memories, how we started public relations years ago. I started PR practice with Stratcom Africa. Then at the time it was Stratcom or Strategic Communications. It's now Stratcom Africa. And I remember in 1999, I always say this with a lot of excitement when I joined somewhere in the corner of Bema camp in a small container. Though the container was small, we were doing a lot of great things. And that is where I started my public relations practice. And it will interest all of you. I think this would excite the Generation Z to know that I started at a time when we were faxing our press releases. And all we knew about public relations, or most of the things we were doing, was in the area of print. And so you can just imagine, I remember that at the time, our consultants for the company, Stratcom, you know, would be in London. Although we had email at the time, email was there, but it was the beginnings and we were all struggling to learn how to use it. So I don't even remember how many times we were communicating with it, but I remember that we were always on phone and we had a public relations account for British Airways. And I remember that I had to fax my reports to London. So for those of you who haven't seen a fax machine yet, I think you have to go and look for one. Probably we should have taken a picture of a fax machine. Maybe our producer can get us a picture and project it. So Mr. Producer, if you are there, maybe you can look for a fax machine and show us one. But this is not too long ago. This was just in 1999. 1999 is just about 24 years ago when I was a young graduate. So that is for a start. You can just imagine it. Whilst I go to Dr. Bosman, Ni, and Rita. Rita, let me come to you. How was PR maybe 10, 15 years ago or when you started? You can just give us a gist of maybe one thing you remember. And Dr. Bosman will also tell us one thing he remembers that we are no longer using. And then I'll come to Nia as well before we go into the details of the discussion. So, Rita, one thing you remember that we are no longer using in PR?
I mean, Gina, what you just said, the fax machine, I couldn't help but remember the number of times that we had to fax documents. I started my career in airline, the once upon a time Ghana Airways. So then, yes, it's been a while ago, more than 15 years, I must say. And then, so we used to fax announcements. I remember very well, those times Ghana Airways used to cancel flights on probably an hourly basis. And one of my roles was to issue those announcements and fax it to all the radio stations to make sure our passengers hear it So you fax it, you call, so, oh, it's not clear, you have to call back again. And then we actually had what they call a telefax to send short-coded airline messages across. So honestly, I mean, a fax machine has totally left my mind. And to think that today, you just have to press a button and all your messages are gone at a go. So one, I really connect with the fax, with the fax machine, which probably belongs to the museum now. But before you go to Albert, I think I have seen in my years of experience how this profession has evolved, probably, like you said, over the past 24 years, where PR probably was seen in isolation. Sometimes like, oh, there's an event coming, PR people go and organize the event, and then you're done and it's done. So, okay, PR, you're done. Oh, PR, we're expecting some media people. And probably the only role the PR person will have is distributing sole, whether legally or illegally. So I have really enjoyed this journey and where it started from the ancient fax machines to diskettes and carrying diskettes across agencies to make sure that, and zip drives, to make sure that your creative is ready for graphic to publish and all of that. All of that is has changed significantly. So let me start with that, and then I'll let Albert continue the conversation.
Dr. Albert, what do you remember you used to do as a young practitioner that you are no longer doing?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's exciting to be part of this once again. Before I start, let me briefly introduce UNIMAC. For those of you who don't know, UNIMAC is a merger between the Ghana Institute of Journalism, the National Film and Television Institute, NAFTI, and the Ghana Institute of Languages, that's GIL. We merged last year by law. So we are still finding our feet, but I am with UNIMAC GIJ, that's a formerly Ghana Institute of Journalism. So that's by the way of introduction with UNIMAC. I started my career actually when I finished the School of Communication Studies. I went into journalism, but after 2 months, I realized that it wasn't for me. I was too much of a quiet person, and journalism seemed to be so bustling. So I moved into PR. I was fortunate to be taken by Mr. Kodyanka with Yanka and Associates. That was in 2004. So that was where I started my career in PR, which I enjoyed so much until 2007 when I moved to Stratcom Africa. But when Rita mentioned the floppy disk, I just smiled because it's something that we all were conversant with, the fax, the floppy disk, and always getting corrupted and having to save several information documents on several floppy disks, so that when one gets corrupted, you use the other, because once it's corrupted, that's it, your information is gone. So it was challenging. And unlike today, even when it comes to research, when you're doing research for your client, you have to do a lot of printing and so on and so forth. Now, thanks to digitization, there's Google Form, there's Microsoft Form. So all these things have become quite easy for us. But at that time, it was quite challenging. And in whenever we organize an event, it wasn't easy inviting the media and so on and so forth. And as Rita said, at the time, PR wasn't really known for what it is today. A lot of us were referred to more as glorified messengers. So it's all about wearing a suit, going to the office, but doing a work more of protocol services. But times have changed over the years. It evolved thanks to globalization, thanks to digitalization. It evolved to what it is today, where it's now a complex thing and a 24-hour service. So in my time, it was quite challenging getting people to even recognize what you do and the value that PR brings to organizations. Sometimes you meet a client and you make these suggestions and don't seem to be interested because they have better to use, so to speak, for their money. So all they want is to appear in the media, and that's it. And sometimes it became a challenge trying to convince them about what PR can bring to the organizations. But thankfully, a lot of that has changed and over the years, and I see a lot more changes in the coming years, because now people are beginning to understand the whole value of PR. A lot of research that has been done by agencies across the world, like Reputation Matters, for instance. And then just a few days ago, the BHM Research and Intelligence, an agency in Nigeria, with the support of CIPR, UK, CIPR International, and other organizations, came up with the first ever Africa PR and communication report to look at the state of PR on the continent, which showed a great improvement. And even though there are still the usual challenges, but it shows that things are changing, and over time we will get to that level where we will say that we have arrived.
Thank you, Dr. Anani. And let me go to Ni quickly. Ni, what do you remember about the PR of yesterday? How you started your practice, and what changes have you seen? Or what is there anything you miss about the PR of yesterday? Where is Ni? I hope Ni is still online. Ni, are you there?
I'm sure he's fixing his network. He had some challenges connecting, so.
Okay, so maybe before.
Can you hear me, Gina?
Yes, Ni, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. So
yeah,
let's see how it goes.
I've had to put off my video, to
so that you'll be more audible. Yes, go ahead, Ni. So what do you remember?
Yeah, because I'm just moving, pacing up and yeah, my network.
I see.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry, Ni, we can hear you.
That,
so what do you remember? Yes, we can. Please go ahead. What do you remember about the PR of yesteryears?
Okay, thank you very much. So we were the part of those who took we left School of Communication, and part of our course, they started introducing new media, something called new media. And we were giving assignments and project work on new media. And that was in 2006. Gina, you remember? 2006. So at the time we were leaving School of Communication in Legon, there was nothing has really changed until recently, where we started. They said they are the millennials, so they call themselves millennials, meaning that I belong to a different generation from them. And then it dawned on me that I have come far as PR is concerned, and it's been almost 17 years since we started practicing PR. But for somebody like me who I practice theater, people know me for my theater works more than PR, even though PR has been that is what I do when I wake up in the morning from 8 to 5. People know me to be doing theater. But what I remember was once upon a time I was in church on a Sunday morning. We were in high spirit. Then I received a call from the office, Stratcom Africa. I was handling an account, and it's a telco's account. It's a telco's account. And what happened was that the network of the telco to all the radio stations in Brongahafo. And that Sunday morning, I had to stop. I was in the middle of what I had to leave church and pick all the way to the office and started making calls to all the Brongahafo.
You're muted, Gina. If you're speaking, you're muted.
After making the calls, I had the IT of the telcos and I had to write me.
Yes, Neil, we can hear you. Maybe you just round up and then. Neil, are you there?
Hello.
Hello,
yes, I'm
Neil.
here. Can you hear me?
Yes, today I think your network is really giving you a tough time. So
it means you couldn't hear all that I presented.
We heard you talk about how you were in church, and I think there was a crisis with the account you were on, and you had to leave church and do a lot of calls.
Yeah, so I had to finish with the short press release and fax it.
So you also belong to the fax generation.
Yes, we were faxing. I mean, not too long, and it's not too long ago we were faxing. I mean, if you're going to receive a receipt from a radio station or from an agency that has worked for you, they will fax it, and then that is what you would. You have to call them. Have you received the fax? They say not yet. Okay, stand. Then you hear the sound. It travels all the way, and so we were faxing. So now nobody wants to fax, and you talk about fax, and it looks like you are a Methuselah, and people look at you with a very strange eye, wondering whether you're an old person or you are a young person. So that is what I remember, one of the several things. And then press cuttings of newspapers on a daily basis, doing press cuttings on a daily basis. Things have changed. Even though it is there, it has taken on a different format right now. So basically, these are a few of what I remember back in the days. Thank you.
Thank you, Ni. So I think at this stage I was supposed to hand over to Ni, but with the challenges it's having, Ni, let's see how the network will treat you in the next round. So maybe before I hand over to you, Ni, let's have just another round of doing a bit of some comparison about what we used to do as PR practitioners back in the days and what has changed and today. So each person will just take one area or one aspect of what they do today and how they used to do it previously. So I'll go first and then I'll hand over to Rita, to Dr. Bosman, and then when you take over, let's see if you can steer the next round of discussions. So, I mean, quickly, the PR of yesterday, I remember that back in the days, one of the things we all wanted to do, I think Dr. Bosman mentioned research, and then Ni has also just mentioned it. Anytime you had to do research, it was a big tussle because you needed a big budget to be able to conduct that research. And so I remember that at the time, if you want to know, maybe collect feedback from, your audiences or the customers of the company you are working for, it meant that you had to look for a research agency. And even for the smallest of research, you had to look for a research agency to give you a budget. And if you could afford it, then you go ahead with it. Today, what I love about how PR has evolved is that with new media, with digital communications, with the power of social media, you on a daily basis, you get to hear feedback from your customers, from your, from your audiences. You are able to engage better. So previously, yes, so we have a fax machine for Generation Z. I can bet that some people are seeing a fax machine for the first time. And ladies and gentlemen on this call, one interesting thing about the four of us is that we all used to work at Stratcom Africa. I joined Stratcom in '99. Perhaps Rita, Albert, Nick can all tell us when they joined. But I joined in '99, and this fax machine looks like the fax machine we used to use at Stratcom Africa. So I don't know whether that is what the producer has gone to look for, or if this one is just from the internet, because I just remember that this was the color, this was how it looked like. And I remember that for me, I used to do British Airways. I used to handle British Airways and a few other companies, but that was like the main accounts. And I had to communicate with London, and the network was solid. But back in the days, we were doing a lot of phone calls and using the faxes for our reports. And I had to send a weekly report every week. So every week I'll do my report and we'll give it to the secretary, and then she will fax it. And I remember that even back then, reviews, Esther Koba would do some of her reviews through fax. We would send her a proposal. Sometimes she will call us, and then we will sit and go through line by line where she wanted the changes to be made. There were times that I remember that Anita, that was the name of the secretary then, we will print out the proposal. So if it's 20 pages and we're bidding for a job or something, we will print out all 20 or 30 pages and we will fax it to her. And then she would, the corrections will be entered in red ink. She will just print it out, correct it, and fax it back to us. And then we will look at it and type, look at it and do A way, B way, and do all the corrections. So, something that today you can do in an hour, corrections that are were tracked in physically on paper. And then it will be faxed back to her when we are done. Because at the time, our emails could only carry so much. So mainly we were just doing exchanges with it, but you couldn't send heavy documentations through email. So one of the things, today we are doing is one, quick access to information, quick feedback, having the power of the computer and having all your corrections done in real time, and also having the opportunity to engage your audiences as we are doing now. So now we are doing it in real time. If you want to do any research now, you can just go online, use your Twitter poll, use all forms of, you can use your phone to do research. So research then and now, there's a vast difference. And today, even if you don't have a big budget, you can easily collect data and also have the opportunity to engage your customers. So I have just spoken about our mode of engaging our customers and our clients, and also I've also spoken about how we used to do research. So Rita, maybe you can also talk about PR then and now, what you used to do then and how you are doing it today. And after that, Dr. Bosman will come in, and then I'll hand over to Nee.
Yeah, thank you, Gina. You really brought some nostalgic memories to me this evening. So I think, of course, as I have grown in the profession, there are things that at entry level seemed very different, and probably at a management level is also different. So I think one of the significant shifts that I have seen, and I think I gave a little bit of information at the beginning, is, the things you see in isolation, where mostly PR was not at the strategic level, giving business inputs into business strategies. to where it is today, where in most organizations, public relations is now sitting at the table where the strategy is being discussed, how you are reaching your customers, how you are meeting your numbers. I think for me, that is one of the significant shifts. Again, maybe just to mention one of the things we used to do back then, whilst internet was now coming in. We used to have to connect the internet to your machine. It was a PC, Pentium 2 PC. You had to take the cable of the landline phone, connect it, and then dial and wait for a response. This might sound alien to a lot of people. So it was really slow. It was like a snail pace. I think another significant shift is how fast, and Gina, you mentioned that, how fast the profession is now. Now there is no time to sit and wait for information. I'm sure as we delve into the present and the future, these topics will come up. Albert, I don't know, sorry, Dr. Anani Bosman, if you want to share your experience as well before Nee comes in.
All right, thank you, Rita. In fact, at Stratcom, for instance, I was mainly in charge of the research activities of our clients, and everything that the client had to do before we started any strategy. We had to do a research for the client. We were also doing media analysis for a lot of our clients. And what we used to do was to come in very early, because we needed to get to, especially for the media analysis, the media monitoring, we had to get a stack of newspapers, different newspapers every morning, and then look through, cut them into pieces, the ones that are relevant to the client, photocopy, and then put all of them together and send them to the client. And of course, some of these things were quite slow, and it sometimes delayed us. And for those of us in the research department, for instance, it meant we had to come very early before everyone else to start work, before the others came. And when it got to engaging research, or even recruiting people for research and engaging in any form of research for a client as well, we had to go to a great length just to get that thing done. We had to print so many questionnaires. We had to do a whole lot. And so, looking back, it's I start thinking how we were able to do all that, especially when it comes to the limited budget that clients tend to give us in relation to research, because now the situation is different, totally different. I don't have to do that any longer. Now with the power of social media, with the power of Google Forms, Microsoft Forms, whenever I'm doing something for a client, a research or anything of that nature, I'm able to do that easily and at less cost. Again, media monitoring has also changed, because then we did not have these analytical tools in terms of Google Analytics and all these other analytics that we have now. So we did everything manually, and that was a challenge for us most of the time. So it's one of the significant things that has come about in looking back in terms of getting news, because getting news online was quite difficult. Even for radio, if a client had an interview or something, we needed to go there and get a copy from the station. But now, mostly it has changed, because now you go to their archives, you get these copies. It was difficult then to record interviews unless you get to the radio station or the TV station. But as I said, things have changed now. Now it's very easy to be able to get access to interviews of clients, your organization, anything that the organization is involved in. So in my work as a research person in charge of doing the research of all the client, there were times when I had a lot of difficulty in getting things done because it was mostly manual in nature. Getting the clippings to the clients, also we had to package it. I think there were very few what do you call them? These motorized, those who take packages, the courier services. There are very, very few of them, unlike today. So things have changed over the years, and it's been, thanks to technology, it's been made very easy. Now you can sit in your office, you can sit in your home, and then access news about your clients, about your organization, just at the press of a button. And it's so easy, unlike previously.
Thank you, Dr. Bossman. So we are not doing too well with time. I'll hand over to Ni. Ni, if you are there, I think we've just dovetailed into the discussion of PR today and the PR of tomorrow. So what are we doing today and how does the future look like, so that we can also invite our guests to join the conversation? Ni, if you are there.
All right, Gina, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, in case I'm breaking, you can take over. Sorry about this inconvenience. So
no problem.
Thank you for the conversation so far. I've been following and it's quite exciting. So we want to discuss how PR is currently being practiced. From where I see it, I feel PR practitioners have become more audacious. They have become more aware of what is required of them and what they can bring to the table as far as organizations are concerned. In time past, you would just be given a camera, and PR practitioners were resigned to taking of photos when there are parties, or sometimes just take the microphone and be the MC. And after that, that was what PR was all about. But now PR practitioners, and this is very clear, the celebration of World PR Day probably has been there in years past, but who knew about it? But now, over the past few years, you can now see how practitioners are becoming more vociferous and reaching out to their publics so that they would get to understand and appreciate the art and science of public relations. So currently, we are looking at the fact that public relations has become more symmetrical compared to in time past. Now we are able to engage our audience directly. At first, measurement, like Albert said, measurement of PR was more subjective, because then when you issued a press release into Daily Graphic, you just hypothesize that, of course, because maybe 2 million people are reading Graphic today, you are anticipating that, of course, 2 million people would have seen your press release. But now with all the demographics and firmographics within the digital space, you're able to even monitor and know who is even reading your story, how many minutes he has read it, and whether the person is a male or a female, where he works, the organization he works, what interests him. All these demographics and firmographics are available to all of us, which country they are doing. So we can see some movements, metamorphoses within the PR sector. So let me come to Rita. As far as PR is concerned, how do you see the change over the past few years in your career as a PR practitioner?
So if I got you right, so you're asking about the today, right?
Yes, now.
Okay, great. So maybe let me start by saying you are absolutely right. There's been a significant change. Whilst I was reflecting on this conversation in the course of the week, 3 key things came up. So where we are looking at what the society is today. So we don't have the passive audience that we used to engage our society, our stakeholders are holding practitioners to account. So for instance, you can't say something today and get away with it. And especially with the way media has evolved, looking at new media, looking at digital media, looking at social media. One of my favorite quotes now is the internet does not forget. If you don't want to see it in 20 years, you don't want your grandchildren to see it in 20 years, do not put it there. So society has changed to a point where the practice of PR is so different. So we have had to be more authentic, have to be more driven by data and fact, as against, okay, maybe some wishy-washy. Now, PR is actually backed by facts. I mean, you mentioned a few. Who is reading your stories? Who is following your pages? So based on that, your strategies and how you implement them are totally different from what it was in the past. Again, we live in, I mean, I've said this a couple of times at a platform that I've spoken on. The world is now it's volatile, it's uncertain, it's complex, it's ambiguous. The job of the PR in managing or in building a reputation or protecting a reputation is always ahead of the curve. So today, it is not about, okay, waiting for the news to come to you before you react to it, but being proactive, ensuring that you have a strategy yourself as your department. One of the things that I have spoken about, or I have asked is, yes, some people see it as a support function. We'll continue to support the functions, but as a department, organized PR firms or PR departments are now holding themselves account, giving reports based on what they are doing, and that is bringing the growth that we are seeing. And you are absolutely right talking about how today World PR Day is such a big thing that people are celebrating. We have to give maybe recognition to those who started the journey when they used to call it glorified messengers, fufu PR, just go and buy me fufu and all of that. So today, looking at society, looking at data, looking at the digital space, the practice of PR has significantly changed.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rita, for the insights. It has really changed, and it's very exciting to know where it's come from and where we currently are. And obviously, we are looking at what the future holds for PR now. And I will call on Gina to talk to us about her experience. One area that we sometimes forget is about development communication, or what we call C4D, which is normally got to do with PR within the development sector. Gina would want to throw a bit more light on the current state of communication for development and how PR practitioners are carrying themselves now, and maybe what the future also holds for public relations practitioners and within the development communication sectors. Over to you, Gina.
Thank you, Ni. Yes, so we have just a few minutes. I'll just try and round up and just take over from where Rita finished. So we all agree that the PR of today, although the PR of yesterday was also, I mean, for those of us who started our practice in the communications consulting company, we got the opportunity to, start PR, I would say, at a better level than others would have done. And although it was also very structured, today we see that things are very different. So for a lot of organizations, even within the development world, now, for example, we are talking about big issues like sustainability, the sustainability of businesses. We are talking about corporate social responsibility, corporate social investments. Within the telecom sector, we talk about mobile for development. So how are we using our organizations to develop our communities? We are talking about shared value. And these are all areas that PR people are engaged and involved in. And so the PR in the area of sustainability and in the area of CSR has shifted from when, organizations just used to do, some good gestures. They used to see CSR as more of, a goodwill to a community or to a group of people. A lot of people then would wait till when they have their anniversaries, and then they will go and, give, something to a school. Now the area of sustainability has changed everything. How are businesses surviving? What is impacting the bottom line? How are you dealing with, issues of inclusion, for example? You are looking at employee engagements. You are looking at how, organizations are even reporting their profits. Your annual reporting today is different from when it used to be. The details that you focus on, should show a responsible company that is also accountable, not just to its shareholders, but for example, how are you sustaining the environment? Is one thing that a lot of organizations are looking at. So the shifts are very obvious. And the work of a PR person goes beyond just arranging for your company to look good in the media because they've gone to, do a good gesture. But you need to go beyond that and show how, for example, you are taking care of the planet, how you are helping to sustain the environment, how your organization, for example, is helping to maybe minimize the use of energy, electricity, and, is your company also absorbing the use of solar? So responsible environmental management, for example, is important to your stakeholders and your shareholders as well. And so we know that PR today, greatly contributes to the success and growth of businesses all over the world. And in this digital world, I'm happy that you all spoke about, the power of the media. The power of the media is not in the hands of just one journalist or a few journalists. Now we are in an era where we also talk about citizen journalism, for example. Every citizen is a journalist at a point in time because anybody can walk into your office, can listen in on your conversations, and before you know, it's become a news item. So media people are picking information from the environment, they are picking it from your customers, from your employees, and all of us we are all working photographers, for example. And so when we talk about development communications, I'm not just thinking about how responsible we are as organizations, but it also goes to, the efficient use of resources in this development world, because everybody is thinking beyond just the profit. We are thinking about the people, we are thinking about the planet, and we are thinking about how we can harness all of these resources to promote our companies and also to promote the nations of the world. And so PR keeps evolving. Like I said, because of our time, I wouldn't go into too much details. But for example, now, one of the things that I've also noticed is our storytelling approach has changed. So the PR today, or maybe let me say the PR person of today should be a good storyteller as well. So in the days when you had, just one person managing, everything. Now there's also a lot of specialization. Someone is just a storyteller, looking at how, you are telling the stories about, like I said, your environment, how you are developing people, how, for example, we have MTN Ghana Foundation doing all this wonderful work in the community. Rita is managing a foundation now. So we are all telling stories about our companies beyond the profits we are making and talking about how we are impacting our communities and individuals in our society. So from the development world, there's a lot also that is going on. Advocacy, for example, for policy formulation is also one of the areas. Even within the PR space, internally, there are a lot of policies that you need to develop to guide the work you are doing, to guide how you are telling your stories, how you are sharing information. So policy formulation and sustainability, like I said already, the storytelling, they are all important. Advocacy, You know, people are taking on courses and championing courses. So for example, I'm a PR person. I've started a timekeeping conversation. I know that Nee is doing social impact stories. I know that Dr. Bosman is doing a lot around, you know, measuring our PR. I know that Rita is also doing a lot of wonderful work, even before, from where she was before she came to Vodafone. So there are lots of shifts, and the PR today going into the future is also getting more and more sophisticated. And in the development world, a lot is happening, because you also have the issues of sustainability and CSR, which are also taking a lot of our attention. Over to you, Nee, if you are there. Otherwise, I believe Dr. Bosman can also come in. Yes, Nee.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Thank you. I will let Dr. Bosman come in now, because I wanted to make a comment from my side. But Dr. Bosman, within the educational space, can you talk to us about what is
Thank you.
currently...
I went up briefly.
Oh, okay. So can you hear me now?
When it comes to... Okay, you're talking.
Yeah, so I'm talking about looking at the educational space, looking at capacity building, looking at how our tertiary institutions are faring currently and what the future holds for public relations. Because hitherto, we were experiencing only doing a diploma in GI. You do a diploma from GIJ, then you move to University of Ghana to do postgraduate diploma. Then eventually it was graduated to master's degree from School of Communication. And until recently, they were the only people offering communication at the master's level. Things have changed. Can you take us through how PR is doing now academically within the scholarship, the academia, and what the future holds for PR education in the country?
He seems to be frozen.
I'm back now.
So you are fine. I think Albert is...
I was talking to you.
No, you are fine. We can hear you.
We heard you, Nee.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So
We
Albert
heard everything you said, but
okay.
Albert seems to have gotten lost. But I think Rita and I can hold the fort for him, and then it's almost 8 o'clock. Then I think we can bring in our guests. We have close to 100 people, so I'm sure we would like to hear from them. And so from the academic space, like you said, I think there's a lot that is happening now. I can't even count the number of communication schools we have. Yes, yes, Doc. Dr. Bosman, go ahead.
Yes, sorry, my network setup is behaving. From the academic space, over the years, previously there was... Can anyone hear me?
We can hear you, Doc.
Yes, please go ahead.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, yes.
Can anyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. Previously, aside the School of Communication Studies, there was also AUCC. It was then AIJC, later to become AUCC. I think they were the only two running PR programs. Over the years, the trend has changed. Now, a lot of organizations, a lot of institutions, public and private, such as KNUST, UCC, and other UEW are all running PR programs. And this is helping to shape the PR industry. A lot more people are now getting into PR because of their interest. And in terms of the diversity of skills, the opportunities and what they feel is also contributing to society as a whole. Because over the years, people have come to realize that PR is not just about your organization, but in terms of so contributing effectively to society. So a lot of people are going into PR. There are a lot of universities opening department of communication studies with PR as one of the core programs that they are running. I've had the privilege of being an assessor. So from time to time, I'm recruited by the GTED, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, formerly NAB, NAB. To assess PR programs of universities from time to time. And through our contribution, we've helped shape some of the things that they teach based on the trends in the PR landscape, based on what is happening within the PR world. And so not only is it growing at the corporate level, but also at the academic level, it is growing so much. And people are showing interest in the field of PR on a daily basis. A lot of at GIJ, where I am currently, I think PR students constitute the majority of the students at GIJ. And that tells the importance that people are attaching to PR. So many schools are opening at either at the diploma level, at the master's level, at the MPhil level. And now a number of them are even coming up with PhDs with a focus on PR. So people are beginning to, or universities are beginning to gradually realize the importance of PR in society. So at the educational level, all that I can say is that it is growing at a fast pace. So a time will come very soon, we will have so many PR graduates and being churned out. Already we are having them, but eventually we're going to have so many of them being churned out that it may end up being a worrying trend. But it tells you the extent to which people are beginning to appreciate PR. Recently, I started a project asking my final year students. It's a research that I'm still doing, not just in Ghana, but in some selected African countries, looking at the perception of PR, the reasons why they selected public relations as their major, and in terms of what they think they'll give into to the industry once they are out there, their readiness for the job. And some of the reasons that they gave were quite interesting in terms of their reasons. You know, previously we used to say that people joined or did PR because, oh, it was easy. People they ran away from math. We all, you know how we are all scared of mathematics. So we ran away from maths just to do PR because we think that it's easy. But that notion has changed. That notion has changed. Now people major in PR because of the contribution that the field is making to society, because of the diversity in skills, because of the ability to contribute strategically to societal issues, to organizational issues, to enhancing their skills and contributing effectively to enhancing the relationship between organizations and their stakeholders. So that trend where we used to see PR as an easy course, where we used to see it, oh, because I'm not good in maths, let me avoid accounting or economics and then go and do, that trend is gradually changing, and people are seeing PR for what it is. And so a lot of educational institutions at the higher level are all opening communication department with PR as a core specialization. And in the next few years, it's going to increase.
Thank you, Dr. Bosman.
Okay. All right. Gina, you coming in?
Yes, I was just going to say that I think at this point it would be good to invite our participants to come in. Maybe before you come in, I've seen some very great brands professors here. I've seen Professor Robert Ebo Hinson. I know he's one of the best marketing professors we have in Ghana. Maybe we can give him a minute or two. Professor Hinson. Prof, if you are there, maybe you want to share some observations with us before others come in.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's an absolute pleasure to see you and to be pleasantly invited to speak as well. Dr. Bosman, thank you for that erudite presentation. I have to say that your observations are interesting to the extent that not only are higher educational institutions open to have communication degrees at master's and PhD level, but I think at a broader level, Madam Gift, if you take this whole proposition around the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, I've heard a lot of talk about trade expansion, billions of people in the market, and so on and so forth. But one of the critical issues I'm asking is, okay, so what does the brand AFTA stand for? Who are the main brand champions? How is the advocacy being done to ensure that your small SME in Kutubabi or Serekunda in the Gambia understands what this Africa Free Trade Continental proposition is about? Even more profoundly, how does this framework relate to regional groupings like ECOWAS and the Southern African region and so on and so forth? Then again, even more profoundly again, what kind of country brand propositions is Africa going to use to power this continental free trade area? Where is brand Ghana today? Where is brand Kenya? Where is brand Morocco? So for me, the issues of PR and communications are so profound because at a continental level, there are questions to answer. At a regional level, there are questions to answer. At country brand level, there are questions to answer. Then you come into the various countries with the multinationals and the SMEs and so on and so forth. So I think PR's time has come, both from a conceptual standpoint and then also from a real policy articulation and industry changing standpoint. I think it's PR's time has really, really come, and maybe this forum is even too short to get into the issues and begin to articulate policy positions, begin to articulate solutions for improving managerial practices. And then on the research side, that's where I reside. So we are ramping up the ante on that. I'm actually speaking to a lady in the UK right now. We are going to edit a new volume on public relations and emerging economies. And we are looking more at all the issues regarding new media, artificial intelligence, virtual reality. So I think it's totally fertile, and there are so many things to do to exploit from a policy standpoint, improvements in managerial practices, and then building the whole conceptual domain. I hope I've made some sense, Auntie Gifty. Thank you.
Brilliant. It's Gina. Thank you, Prof. And although you never taught me, I've heard a lot about you, and I'm hoping that maybe in the next few years, I'll join one of your classes if it's not too late for me to continue going to school. And I know it's not late, so I look forward to meeting you again. But brilliant submissions made by a great professor, adding to what Dr. Bosman and my other colleagues spoke about. Thank you very much for that. So he's giving us a lot of food for thought, the role of AFTA and the regional groupings. He's spoken about country brand positioning, brand Ghana. We don't want to go into it. I'm sure a lot of people are forgetting about it, but we can't forget about it. So he says, PR people, this is our time. We are looking at continental issues, regional, national, multinational, companies, and how they engage all the way to the SME, to the small company. So there's a lot we can address our minds to, and although we don't have all the time, it's good that we've started the discussion. I'm just hoping that we will not wait till next year when we have the next PR, World PR Day, to come back and discuss this. I think Prof has given us a lot of food for thought, and it will be good for us to come back quickly to talk about some of these things. So if there's anyone, I've seen my friend AC Hammond from the School of Communication Studies. So Neil was talking about 2006. AC and I completed in 99, and we are still very young girls. So AC, is there something you want to add? If AC is on the line, is still here. I've seen Felix Deegbe, who is also my mate from school. There are a lot of great people online, but at this stage, please, you can type in your question, your comments, your suggestion, and let us know what your thoughts are in the area you work in. AC, please.
Hello, Gina and everybody. It's been an exciting evening. I think we should be doing more of this. You know, just a few days ago when I had the opportunity to share some experiences with women in PR, Ghana.
Yes.
I mentioned to a student that we used to use AmiPro machine. I don't even know how to explain that.
About it.
Yes, and none of the students had heard what AmiPro is. And this is how far we've come. Today, we have all these enhancements that should only enable us to challenge ourselves and add value to everything that we do. At every point in time, we should lead the discussion, we should lead the innovation, we should research. Research, we cannot underestimate, because we still need to get our bosses to understand that this is something we need at the top level. It is not something you can call on anyhow. It is a management function. And the only way we can prove it to them is to show evidence-based needs for why we want them to understand PR the way it is as a management function. Thank God we have all the social media, the enhancement tools, evaluation tools that enables us to even capture things with all the data to speak to our bosses and say, this is what our stakeholders are talking about. And we can prove the numbers, we can prove the discussions with all manner of gadgets. Social media itself has its own various forms of tools available. So it is an exciting time to be a PR practitioner, and I'm not surprised that so many people are coming on board. Research we cannot overlook, because we need to be able to explain things in reality the way they are. And so I'm happy we are having this discussion, and I'm already looking forward to the next time we do this. So thank you for this platform, and thank you for everybody else who has contributed so far. I'm very proud to be a PR practitioner, especially now, even though I'm on pension. You know, I'm very, very proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you, AC. You cannot be on pension. You are too young to be referred to as a pensioner. So we are very grateful for the insights and the additions you've provided. You've challenged us, you know, from, you know, trying to remind us about what AmiPro is. I've even forgotten anything like that existed. But I like what you said, that we need to add value to everything, because with all these, you know, opportunities online, with all the resources we have, you know, and I like the way you put it, that we need to lead the discussions, we need to lead the innovation, we have to use our creative skills and show evidence-based, you know, approaches to what we do. So that's brilliant, and thank you. AC, I've seen that people are now getting fired up. Everybody was just listening to us. Ibrahim Kwame Asante, yes, is one of our greatest champions. He says, thank you for organizing this. We need more of that. Let me read a few. Veronica says, you can also, yeah, she says, this is a good learning. Congrats to the organizers. Papayao says, my name is Erika J. I'm currently reading PR at Sheffield Harlem University. Dr. Bosman, are you able to tell whether we have the same number of graduates going ahead to practice PR? And he says again, so Dr. Bosman, this is specifically for you. For example, has Unimac gotten any collaboration with industry where students will have hands-on experience before they graduate? So Dr. Bosman, that's for you. When I'm done reading, I've already read Ibrahim Asante's comments. We have Opoku Buachi Yadom. He says, my son is in first year, he's in Legon reading PR. Is there any hope of him getting a job, and where? Non-professionals have taken over the job because of cheap labor. But I don't know about that, but we'll answer that. Abigail DeGraff Quays talks about the global sustainable goals, and she says, yes, we are on spot, so we are on the spot. This is an awesome session from Seth Danchi Boache. Well done, is what all our people are saying. So let me go to Dr. Bosman on the collaborations between industry and the educators. And then we can answer the question about whether there's still hope for those who are learning PR. So I think Rita and I, and maybe Rita and I will just talk about opportunities within the PR space when Dr. Bosman is done, and then Ni, you can come in when we are done. So Dr. Bosman, you first, just 2 minutes. Rita will come in quickly, and I'll also come in.
Jean, I'm not sure if Albert
seems to, okay. So Rita, you can take a go at that.
Yes.
Opportunities for PR students to find jobs.
I mean, I think you actually started this conversation earlier when you spoke about specialization. I mean, the world is big enough. There won't ever be a time where we'll say there are too many PR practitioners, and having the quality that you are bringing to the table. Prof already mentioned opportunities that I think there's so much we haven't even scratched the surface on, looking at countrywide, looking at industry-wide, even regional, as in the sub-region wide, what can we do as practitioners? The opportunities that are currently available, I mean, is enormous. I just wanted to add, Gina, that I think one of the changes in the PR space is it is no longer enough to just study your PR and just sit and say, okay, I'm a PR person. Okay, I know all my stakeholders. I know my internal stakeholders. I know how to engage them. I know how to. PR people increasingly are having to extend into other areas to make sure that they are delivering the kind of value. So for instance, I am in school, so Jane, please, you can go back to school. I'm just finishing an MBA in marketing. And what that does for me, it positions me as a communicator, as building brands, as talking about reputation. People are reading law, people are talking about policy, people are learning about policies. So in terms of the opportunities, let me just state there's enough opportunities. Please come in. There's so much more to be done. Countrywide, industry-wide, individual-wide. Now people are having personal PR people. One of the areas I mentioned about the digital world today is there is now an influx of influencers. Now, a lot of people might have some talent. There are opportunities in there for PR practitioners to shape how these influencers even look. How are you influencing a brand? And that level of professionalism that sets you apart from your competitors. So yes, there are lots of opportunities. AC Hammond spoke about what we have now. Now there are all these IA, I thought, would that be an area we'll be able to speak about? All these artificial intelligence, helping PR people You are writing faster now. When you have a writer's block, there is a robot that can help you just kickstart. So the opportunities are there for us to be better PR people, for us to position this profession where it rightly belongs. And I think our predecessors have done a great job. It's now up to us to make sure that we take it to the next level. So yes, opportunities are bound. There's still so much more to be done. Thank you.
I absolutely agree with you, Rita, that opportunities are bound. There's so much space for everyone. And like Rita rightly said, and if you look at the areas within public relations, I believe that public relations is one of the professions where there's so much variation that every area that you look at is an area of specialization that can fetch you a lot, and your hands will be full. If you take stakeholder engagement, stakeholder management, that on its own is a full-blown, skill and specialization within the public relations space. We've spoken about sustainability, communications. That's a big thing that is emerging. It's one of the new areas that anybody can go into. And currently, I believe that every PR person working for a multinational is really, vested in sustainability communications. We've spoken about research surveys. We've spoken about impact, even impact, measuring the impact of PR, how, PR is impacting company. That's something that someone can do as a whole business. How is CSR impacting businesses? How is it impacting and influencing the bottom line? Rita has spoken about the role of influencers. And anyone can be an influencer, depending on what you do with the time and resources you have. We have people who are doing media monitoring. There are media monitoring companies that have recruited tens and hundreds of people who are monitoring how the brands they are managing are doing. That's a big area that anybody can go into. If you take our good old photography, you would have thought that because everybody has a phone, everybody is like a cameraman, everybody is filming and doing videos, photography would be extinct. But look at photography as we see it today. People are doing celebrity photography, people are covering weddings, and some people just do events and don't do anything. Some people just do portraits. Some people cover just corporate activities. Some do just culture. Some cover wildlife. So photography within public relations is a big thing. And of course, video production is something that is also taking us into the future. We all know that now PR without videos, your storytelling will not be complete if you don't have your videos. And even though we can all film 1 minute or 2 minutes, we have, people who are doing great stories with videos, filming, and all that. And then, of course, we have people who are even doing crisis management, issues analysis. These are all areas. Prof spoke about country branding. Someone spoke about the SDGs. These are all areas that PR people are addressing their minds to. Personality, reputation management, political communications. You can never have enough of PR. And although we all do multiple activities, we never get to do everything within the PR space. Blogging is a full-time job for certain people. So, if you have a child that is interested in public relations, they just need to be creative. They just have to love what they do. Once you have the passion, and of course you have, you are creative enough, there's so much you can do, whether you are in the corporate practice, whether you are in consulting, whether you choose to work for yourself, there's always enough space for you. Ni, if you are there, you can take over. I think that there's a lot that people have posted. Let me see if I can read a few more of what people have posted. But Ni, yes, you can go ahead and come in before I read the last 3 messages.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Gina. I was going to pick up from the need for you to be innovative, the need for you to be creative as a PR practitioner. It's quite a number of people have come to me who were looking forward to taking up, PR as their new field. And we started, and along the way, I realized that the passion was not there. So then I told myself that PR is got to do with passion. PR is like playing the role of a stage manager in a theater or in a movie setup. You do all the groundwork, you do all the strategic work, but you are not seen. You do it and you end up amplifying the organization and its management. So you are in the background trying to pull the strings to ensure that your organization has received the kind of brand that is looking forward to. So if you are the type who is not innovative, you can finish with your PR program and you come and sit home. And because you are not innovative, you are not able to attract employers. There was a document I read about speech writers, and I discovered that in the Western world, speech writers are among the very well paid PR practitioners within a PR apparatus in an organization. Speech writing is what somebody does when you go to the United States or Europe. It's the person's food, because for whatever event that is carried out, they always need scripts, they need speech. Here in our part of the world, we do a lot more extempore deliveries every now and then. But over there, it doesn't happen like that. So speech writing is even another way. PR writing is very critical in practicing contemporary public relations, and it comes in different shapes and different forms. So like Gina said earlier on, PR is so broad. Over the past 8 years, I have spent my time doing what is called science communication. It is a gray area that scientists are attempting, trying to communicate their data on climate change to people, and it is just not working. And my experience over the past 8 years as a climate communications person, I discovered that there is a very big gap between climate change and communicating climate change to the world. And I was very delighted when Prof was presenting about AFTA and other SDGs around the globe and around the continent, and how PR's time has come. Every now and then I make presentations to science people about communication, science communication, and they agree totally that it's true. We went through our PhD doing our science data, our climate change, and we never thought about communication. So as a communications person or as PR people, this is an area that you can even look at when we're talking about PR, science communication. Sorry, I thought I went off. So just to suffice to say that storytelling, it's an area that brings us closer to our audience. Everybody loves to hear stories. So now PR is advocating about stories, how we can tell the story of our organization. And we will all agree that he who tells his story becomes the hero in it. So if you allow somebody else to tell your story, then the person will become the hero in your story. So why don't you use the power of storytelling to reach out to your clients, to your prospective clients, and to your existing clients? We are trying to appeal to their emotions now and to let them listen more to us than before. And storytelling happens to be one of the most powerful ancient tools that can be used in public relations today, so that we'll be able to draw people closer to our brand. And in the long run, it will cascade into quality products and reaching out to more people than before. Digital PR, digital media, digital communication has now come. Rita spoke about AI, supercomputers that have now come. Now people will just put in whatever they want and then it pops up. As much as AI has come to help, ChatGPT has come to help, we must tread cautiously because it is not very perfect. And so it can help us. It can help us to, kickstart what we want to. But how do you feel when you were the person who wrote a particular speech without GTP or without GPT, you realize that you feel very good when your speech is being read by your boss or by the invited guest. So let's try as much as possible and not rely 100% on AI. AI can push us to where we want to be, but we cannot relinquish what we have to AI. So I think we will not be able to exhaust everything, but probably we can open up to people and maybe do a follow-up after this program.
Yes,
those who want to reach us for more questions and interaction, so we can make ourselves available to continue with the conversation. Over to you, Gina.
Thank you, Ni. So as we round up, I want to just read the last set of questions and additions to these conversations, and then we'll just go around the table for, the last closing comments from everyone. So we have Emma Ofosua makes a great point. She says, great conversation. Thanks for the insight. What should startups consider when they are not in a position to hire a PR person or have a full team? And secondly, what should the consideration be when seeking to get quality PR professionals? So maybe Rita, you can hold on to that question and just do a 1 minute. Papayao says, I joined late. So he says, here in school, we keep having debates about new trends, technologies, and whether there are threats or opportunities to challenge ourselves, as said by A.C. Hammond. Now we have tools that can write speeches and write statements, even though PR goes beyond these. How is PR Ghana drawing up programs to meet the ever-emerging challenges thrown at the profession, especially in the face of technology? So that goes back to Ni's point. I mean, what is PR Ghana doing in the face of all these new developments? I'll leave that for, I think Ni started already, so I'll let Dr. Bosman just do a 1 minute on that. So Rita will take up the question about what to do when you're a small organization and you cannot afford to hire a PR person. How do you get PR professionals or get that support? And then Dr. Bosman will talk about the opportunities within the AI space, what to do with technology, and how we are preparing ourselves in the face of technology. Phyllis Degbe says, hi, Gina, I'm excited to participate in this. I do PR in the development space, and it's very amazing how we are using PR to support donor investments to improve the lots of millions of vulnerable populations. It's a great profession. That's our friend Phyllis. Mina says, is there a level of communication for one to join PR professionals? That's the last point. So let's take that 1 minute response to the issue of doing PR when you don't have the money to hire someone.
Budgets.
And then Dr. Bosman, you take the new and emerging trends. Then we will come back and do the last closing comments for everyone. Rita.
Thank you, Gina. Yes, so my advice would be use your network. You don't need to go for a high-end PR firm or PR practitioner. Who do you know who practices PR? You can speak to an individual. If you're an SME, you can get some consultancy at a fee that you can afford. So in terms, it's not out of your scope, definitely. So one, speak to your network. There are institutions. We have the Institute of Public Relations that has a list of PR practitioners, including consultants, who I believe have packages for SMEs. So don't leave it to chance. Nico spoke about telling your own story. Don't leave it to chance to say, okay, when I grow and become bigger, then I can have a PR. Start today, go with a PR firm or go with a PR consultant to build the brand and the business that you want to build. Gina, I hope I've done my 1 minute.
Yes, you have. You've utilized it very well. So Dr. Bosman, thank you, Rita. Dr. Bosman, let's hear how we can make good use of technology.
All right.
And with technology staring at us, how do we manage? How do we prepare ourselves?
Yes, the fear has been, especially with the talk of AI in PR, the fear has been that people will lose their jobs and technology will now be doing their work for them, because now it's easy to write a press release, it's easy to do a copywriting and so on and so forth with AI. But what we fail to understand is that in all of these things, human skills are still needed. So those who fear that they may, especially at the technician level, is one of the things that has come up, whether those who graduate from universities will even get jobs to do, because now AI can do the very things that they've been trained to do. But AI doesn't have that human component, that human element of touch, of pay, of so human skills are still relevant, and especially in our part of the world. It's important to learn as much as possible on how to use these AI tools. And there's a lot of information on how to use the AI tools and the new technologies coming up in your work as a PR person, in writing, in developing messages, in copywriting, in editing, proofreading, all this. There are a lot there are over 200, and every day there are new ones coming up, technologies that you can use to enhance your work, but it shouldn't replace your work, because whatever you do, in our part of the world especially, you still need that human touch to be able to endear yourself to your stakeholders, because that interpersonal communication is still critical in our part of the world. But there are so many ways. Don't let it scare you, but see it as a challenge, see it as an opportunity, and embrace it, and then go all out and learn more about these tools and how to utilize them to effectively do your PR work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bosman. Brilliant. It's been
Gina, I think we lost you. Nee, I'm sure you can come in.
Okay, so whilst we waiting for Gina, we are now trying to wrap up from where we've picked up from so far. And do we still have some more comments? And I think I saw one comment.
I think we are almost done.
Okay, you are back.
Yeah, so yes. I think there was one that says, is there a level of qualification for one to join the PR professionals? I don't know. I think a first degree is a good starting point. And a first degree in any background should be able to get you into the PR profession. So Dr. Bosman has spoken a lot about the training institutions. Now, almost every university in Ghana is training PR professionals. I know for most of the universities, it's highly competitive. You usually will have to write a written test, a grammar test, and take an interview for most of the universities. But a first degree in any background should qualify you. A good first degree should qualify you to be able to do your professional PR. Of course, you have the Institute of Public Relations that also runs accreditation programs. So you can contact any of the universities you love, and then you can ask if they have a communications program. So public relations, corporate communications, there are varying, names for the PR profession, but they should all get you to the same destination. So I guess we'll take our 1 minute closing remarks from all our very esteemed speakers. And this time I'm challenging our speakers not to make this an annual session. You and I are the conveners. We need to bring these are esteemed speakers back again soon so we can have another conversation. There's so much to talk about within this space, so we shouldn't make this an annual conversation. So let me start with you, Dr. Bosman, to do your 1 minute and Rita will go, and then I think Nee will come in, and I'll just wrap up. Nee started, so I'll just wrap up as we finish. Dr. Bosman.
All right. Thank you very much. All that I can say is that the field of PR has come a long way, and it is growing. PR has become more complex thanks to digitalization. Reputation management has become even more become tougher to deal with. But then the challenge is also there for us to continuously enhance our skills, hone our skills as professionals, as in terms of digital skills, in terms of qualifications, in terms of critical thinking skills, strategic thinking skills. There's so much that we can do in the field of PR, and it is going to grow as technology increases, as the landscape, the media landscape also widens and improves. So does PR. So it's a good place to start. As Gina said, a good first degree can start you, and it is always important to realize that PR is an exciting work. It's an exciting job. I got into it. I never regretted, and I wish everyone will get into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Gina, I believe I can go for my 1 minute.
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so I mean, I think this is the most exciting time to be in this profession. The evolution we have seen and where we are today, I can only imagine the prospects and how the future is going to be. So my encouragement is to PR professionals who feel their work is not being recognized, who feel that nobody cares about what I'm doing. My challenge is make yourself valuable. Make sure the work you are doing is speaking for you. Make sure that you are not just waiting for work before you deliver on something. Have your strategy. When you need help, there is a strong network. If you're a woman, there's a woman in PR, there's an IPR. So the institution and the professionals themselves have grown, have solid professional networks that you can harness. And it doesn't hurt. I mean, Gina and I are competitors today. We haven't always been, but I'm sure, I mean, in instances where we need public relations or conversations around industry, we have had a conversation. So one, it's a great time to be a PR practitioner, harness your networks and deliver value and show it. PR people, our only way of showing what you've done is showcasing what you have done. So that will be my 1 minute, Gina.
Thank you very much, Rita, for sticking to the time, and to Dr. Bosman. We don't have too much time to be able to delve into it. Nee, do you want to add something? Yes, definitely. And then I'll just come in and try and wrap it in 1 minute.
Yes, I on a lighter note, I don't know whether Gina and Rita decided to sabotage myself and Albert because they are the custodians of the two most powerful networks in the country, yellow and red. If there is anybody to hold responsible, these are the two people we can hold responsible in these organizations. And then our networks have not helped us, but that's just on the lighter side. But I want to say that in PR, you must either innovate or perish. If you are not ready to be innovative, you are not ready to be scientific and blend the research with the art, you would not be able to achieve what you intend achieving. Gina made mention of the fact that it is so broad that if you think because you were a PR in telcos, you are going to bring the same strategies you were having into a different field, then you are likely to run into problems because each field has a way you are supposed to approach it. And for PR practitioners, what makes our work more hectic cooling is the fact that you are not taught telecommunication, but you find qualities of telecommunication before you are able to communicate. For the past 8 years, I have had to understand climate change, all the negative 0.15 degrees, all the greenhouse effect, but I am not a climate change person. And if I should move to an automobile organization, I would have to understand automobile and how it operates. So it's a very broad, very vast area, and it allows for you to be innovative every now and then. So I want to challenge those who are excited and want to go into PR to be very innovative and open-minded so that they will be able to make it within the field. And for those who are looking for support but are not PR people, they've joined us. We are looking forward to see how we can engage more in these conversations so that we can be of help to your endeavors. Thank you very much. Over to you, Gina.
Thank you very much, Ni, for rounding it up nicely for us, our guests and participants. It's been a wonderful time having all of you join us this evening. It's been very engaging. I think one of our guests just summed it up. Priscilla Nate said very educative and engaging. Thanks to every single one of you, the close to 100 people who joined us this evening. And we've had more than about 80% of you staying. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation, and I'm sure that you've learned a thing or two. We learn every day. And like all the colleagues, my colleagues have said, there's a lot to learn from the art and science of public relations. Public relations is both an art and a science, and I'm sure will be coming your way again. If you want to learn more about public relations, please feel free to contact any of the 4 people who spoke on this platform. Myself, working with MTN as head of corporate communications, Rita, who is Vodafone external communications manager. You can contact her. You can contact Dr. Bosman if you want to go back to school to learn PR or to do your master's or all the way to PhD. Of course, my colleague Nikome, who is a playwright and also has now drifted into climate change communications. There's so much space within this area for all of us to play with. And so if you want to learn more, there's an opportunity for you to learn more. I think Rita spoke about the power of networking. Join a network, look for any of us, and let's continue the conversation. We are hoping that we will make this a quarterly instead of an annual conversation. And so you can be sure that in the next 3 months, we will be coming up with some very interesting topic again, and where we can have more conversations. It's just to get us talking. It's just to get us to improve. At some point in time, we will bring a case study. Maybe in the next conversation, we will get a case study, and we will come with a challenge, a case, a problem, a best practice. We will analyze how the public relations was done, and we can all learn from it. It may be, a real case, but we may change the name of the company. But I think that it's time for us to continue learning. We don't want to wait till another World PR Day before we come to the round table. So you can be sure that we will call you to the dinner table. I'm sure you've taken in a lot today, and we've also been blessed with your presence. So thank you, Dr. Bosman. I was going to say Dr. Roxanne. I think, Rita, you and I and me, we have to go back to school. So when you finish your MBA, don't think that you finished. I think all of us can go back to school again. We never stop learning, but it's been wonderful having all of you. Thank you so much. And like we said, you can always get in touch with us through any of the channels where you receive this information. and we'll be glad to help you. We will come your way again in the next 3 months, God willing, and we will see you at the next roundtable discussion. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Today is Monday, so have a blessed weekend. See you soon. Good night, everyone. Bye for now.
Good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes.
Thank you very much to our producer, Nash Odoi, who worked behind the scenes. No one saw him, but we are very grateful for connecting all of us. Very solid production, Nash. Thank you.
You are welcome.
That's the solid PR producer.
Hey, Amaga.
Well done, Nash.
PR, so you have to be behind us.
Well done, Nash, for your silence prayers.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, Nash. Good night.
Good night, everyone.